Hello, hello, hello. This is Jamie White with Supplierty News, and I have with me, as always, my podcast talker, speaker, presenter, or what have you, Ray Hayes. Ray, how's it
Hey,
going?
what's going on, everybody? I'm good. I'm good. How are
Good.
you doing today, Jamie?
Pretty.
Podcast talker.
Yeah,
Hello.
fellow. Yeah, exactly. Fellow podcast talker. I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay. As
Okay.
always, as always. So before we get into it, I do want to
Mhm.
mention one thing I forgot to mention. As always, if you're running a small or diverse business and you're looking to connect with large corporations, please check out www.supplierty.com. That's supplierty.com. It's a website where we help organizations connect with large Fortune 500 companies as well as, universities, government entities such as like the U.S. Army and whatnot. And it just walks you through the process of how to do business with them if you own or operate a small business and you're looking to do so. So yeah, again, check that out. Now let's go ahead and let's get into today's podcast. So I'm gonna hand it over to Ray, and he's gonna talk about what we're gonna discuss today.
Okay. Well, thanks, Jamie. Just want to go about using let's say, a Morehouse term, piggyback off what you just said. Definitely, if you're in a small business and diversity here, check out Supplierty. I mean, it's valuable information that can help you along the way. But today, me and Jamie will be discussing the big meeting that took place, what was it, last week at the
Yeah,
White House
yep, last
with the
week.
congressional members. Oh, sorry, what did you say?
I say yep, last week.
It was a meeting between historically black colleges, the acronym HBCU, presidents and congressional members, President Trump and his administration, including Omarosa, who is a graduate of two HBCUs, Wilberforce and Howard University. Uh, the meeting, let's say, went okay.
What do you
Uh,
mean by okay?
we'll see. Okay, meaning that there were some, as far as some people thought it was good that he sat down with the presidents and voiced his opinions of how the White House plans to black HBCUs. However, some presidents from the HBCUs who attended the meeting were, how can I say, they thought they applauded Trump and the administration for meeting them. However, they were
What,
kind of taken back,
disillusioned?
disappointed. Yes, they
Oh,
disappointed.
disappointed. Okay.
Definitely disappointed. Definitely disappointed as far as how the talks went. Uh,
Well,
in particular, go ahead.
in particular, what? Now I'm gonna let you finish your statement.
I was going to say uh, the president of Morehouse College, President Wilson. He recently wrote a statement about the meeting, and it was a lot of people on social media and just online in general saying that he was going about in his statement. He was voicing the fact that he was being played by President Trump and the administration during the
Oh
meeting.
wow.
However, after reading the statement myself, I wouldn't say he was trying to say that they were being played. He
Yeah.
just suspected. He expected more than what he got.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
I agree with that.
yeah, I mean, you go into a bakery and you see this delicious cake or so, and it's like, man, it looks good. It looks really good. But when you taste it, it doesn't
Meet those
meet what you
expectations.
expect.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't meet those expectations. So it just left a sour taste in his mouth. But he's willing to see what happens in the future.
Okay. Okay. So I do want to kind of before we continue, that piece. Let's talk about what we thought was going to happen beforehand going into this meeting. And then let's talk about
Okay.
because there were a couple of big things that did happen in the meeting that completely changes how the government is going to operate with HBCUs. But
Right. Right.
before we get too into that, let's take it back a little bit. Let's talk about what we thought was going to happen because, like you said, he was disappointed in what actually happened, but what did he actually think was going to happen, right?
Yeah.
So for us, and we had this conversation before, and you can check it out, on our other excuse me, on our other conversation. Obviously posted here on YouTube as well. But we thought, well, we didn't expect much to begin with. Now that I think about it,
No, not at all.
we were a little dubious, and the HBCUs coming into the meeting, we didn't know who was going to show up. I think I think we thought about 10 or 20 were going to show up. In fact, about
Right.
80 presidents showed up, so almost 100. So the majority of these institutions were covered here in this meeting, which was by far a surprise. Little note, little tidbit, history note, if you will. This was the most black people that were ever in the Oval Office at one time ever in the history of the Oval Office, if you will. So historic tidbit, if you will, on that piece. But we didn't expect much. We said it could go two ways. This could either be a photo op for Donald Trump, where he can use those faces and say, "Hey, I met with a bunch of black people," and then go about his day. Or this could be something where he looks to invest heavily into HBCUs, because one of the conversations we had was, why didn't Obama what did he canceled the previous what was it again, Ray? Um,
What's that?
the funding, how every president usually like renewed that funding opportunity for HBCUs, but then President Obama decided to cancel it.
Uh, can't remember offhand.
Yeah, I can't remember
Uh,
exactly how much it was, but
it was I think it was 500 million.
okay.
Morehouse, President Morehouse, in his statement, he talked about that. He said, I'm gonna read you what he said. He said, because I knew that President Obama had invested $3 billion more in HBCUs in its first 6 years than President Bush invested in its final 6 years. Therefore, since President Trump plans to do more for HBCUs than any other president has done before, quote, we could have reasonably expected him to get started by announcing at least an additional $500 million to HBCU this year. That was the same fund that President Obama didn't renew. I can't think of the name of it, but it's going to come to my head eventually. Give me a few minutes, but he expected President Trump to go about, hey, we're going to renew this fund right now. We're going to give you $500 million to start off with that. So that's what
That's
as he was going. He said he was going in expecting it. So he had high expectations, man.
Yeah, that's pretty high, man. I mean,
He had a high expectation.
that may be unrealistically high for a president
But as a
like Trump.
but I can see where he's coming from. If the president of the United States says out his mouth he's going
Yeah,
to do more for HBCUs than any other president has done before, then what would your expectation be if you heard that statement?
yeah. You know what? Taking that into account, you're right. That was not out of the realm of possibilities to expect
Right.
him to renew out the gate the $500 million in federal funding. Uh, I can agree with that. I know we didn't think that. We were more so thinking that this would be a low meeting with not a lot of presidents
Right.
showing up, and we didn't know exactly what was going to come out. We didn't even think Donald Trump was going to be at the meeting. When we were talking about it, we thought it was just going to be Omarosa and a couple of people
Yeah.
from the Diversity Coalition. So from
And
our
then just congressional members, a
yeah,
few congressional
yeah,
members, not a
yep,
lot.
like Paul Ryan, yep, we talked about that. We talked about that. So the fact that at some point, I don't know who was doing the bulk of the meeting, but hey, the fact they even met with Donald Trump, it kind of blew our expectations out of out of the water. So
Right.
for our expectations, which were next to nothing, I mean, let's point that out here. Uh, Donald Trump exceeded those based off of the HBCU presidents who followed his words very carefully. Their expectations were much higher. And I think that makes sense as to why they met with the president, despite the criticisms that they had to have known were going to be thrown their way if they sat in a room with President Trump. So That makes sense. So I think we've got that covered. Their expectations
Yeah.
were high going into this
Yeah.
meeting, and that's
I
why.
mean,
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
you. Another thing I was gonna say, with Omarosa being a graduate of two HBCUs and having that experience and having such, well, being able to talk to President Trump, and she's one of his top confidants, so to say. I mean, one of them's giving him all kinds of opinions of how we can influence our nation and
Yeah, that's a good question.
certain
For sure.
diversity initiatives. You know what I mean? So they expected her experience and her voice to be spoken loud and clear to President Trump about how we can influence HBCUs. So going in, okay, you have somebody who's possibly on your side and a top confidant with our president. I mean, going in as a president, I would expect, hey, this may be a really good meeting. Even though I know he spits some crazy rhetoric and he says some off the wall things. With that being said, I mean, with a confidant as close as Omarosa to him and an HBCU graduate, I would expect that. Hey, I mean, maybe this will be a great meeting.
Yeah,
And you seeing who's coming to the meeting now? Who? All of these presidents. I expect my voice to be heard during the meeting. I expect to get my point across and let him know how I feel. So I would have high expectations as well.
yeah. I mean, me personally, I wouldn't, but I can understand where they're coming from. Uh,
Okay.
for me, when it comes to expectations, like I just look at your actions, right? If this is my first meeting with you and I have no previous encounters with you, my expectations aren't going to be very high just because I just don't know you, And
Okay.
remember, President Trump is a politician, right? I don't care what you're elected president, you're a politician. Period. I don't care what you were before. So he's going to be promising the world to everyone. And now that he's president, now we're
Gotcha.
yep. Now we're getting to see who's actually getting what, right? Because here's the thing with presidents, right? All presidents
Mm-hmm.
you have it's 100% pie, right? And when they're running for
Okay.
office, they tell they tell education, you're gonna get 100% of the pie. They tell infrastructure, you're gonna get 100% of the pie. They tell defense, you're gonna get 100% of the pie. So they keep going to everybody and telling them how important they are and how they're gonna get 100% of the pie. But then when they get elected, again, there's only 100%. So somebody's going to get 20% of the pie. Somebody's going to get 30% of the pie. Like, they have to divvy it out accordingly. And that's essentially what we're seeing here is HBCUs are not now, but they're going to find out, just how much they really matter in the president's overall agenda. And this is the first meeting, so there's really no way for them. There was no way for them to know exactly how much of that quote unquote pie they're going to get. And he was disappointed. Obviously, like you said, based on the comments President Trump has made previously, I can understand. I can see where he's coming from, but I wouldn't. Me personally, if I was the president of HBCU, my expectations would not have been that high. Let me ask you a question though, Ray. What would you have attended this meeting if you were a president of an
Gotcha.
HBCU? Absolutely.
Gotcha. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. I mean, it
I
doesn't hurt
agree.
for me to go sit down and hear what he has to say.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. I don't understand, and this is a good segue. I don't understand the criticism of taking a meeting with the president of the United States.
I don't either.
Yeah, regardless of how you feel about him. Like, I'm, I mean, you kind of sign up for that. If you're going to take a meeting with the with President Trump, he's going to photo op you. That's just what he does.
Exactly.
He photo ops everybody.
Yeah.
Um, but even
Name of the game. I mean, you do the same thing. If you're a president,
oh yeah,
you have
absolutely.
some big name politician that comes into see your school, you're gonna get a photo op.
Oh,
It makes you look good. At the
yeah.
end of the day.
Absolutely, absolutely. Unfortunately, Trump is the type of person we really don't know what he's going to use that photo op for. That's kind of
Sure.
his downfall,
That's the
or not
scary part.
downfall, but that's
Right.
his. Yeah. That's kind of his negative. But yet and still, get a meeting with the president. Who knows? He may have somebody may be there that can help you and that does agree with the importance of HBCUs. I mean, not showing up the only way that would work is if nobody showed up. like literally zero presidents would have had to show up in order for that to work. And I highly doubt that would have happened. So because of that, going in there, meeting with them, seeing exactly what they have to offer, because they're saying we're going to do more for you than any other president. I mean, it was a risk, but something that, and I agree with you, I would have taken on as well. So all these, I understand students are going to protest. I mean, students are students, right? We all had
And I mean,
a certain ideology when we were students, and that quickly changed when we went out into the real world and got a real job, right? So
definitely.
yeah, students will do what students do. So I
And
understand the criticism.
President Trump, to go off what you just said, then he just threw out some bait.
Yeah,
I mean, he threw out the bait. He threw it in the sea.
yeah.
Now, would he catch anything? Who knows? But he threw that bait out there. So I'm gonna promise you, the fact that I promise you, I'm gonna do more than any other president has done in history. That when he threw that bait out into the sea. Now you can latch on and get railed in to see the reality of what you just put yourself into, or you can just accept it for what it is and not even try to touch it. But if you don't try to touch it, you won't get that experience to see what could it have been. So I mean, at the end of the day,
No,
like
I
you
get
saying,
you.
there's no reason to protest. None whatsoever.
Well,
They're all about
yeah,
making their institutions better.
yeah.
But go ahead.
No. Keep going. I agree with everything you're
Yeah.
saying. Yeah.
It's all about going about making your institutions better. But on the other hand, this is where I kind of it left a sour taste in my mouth. The fact that I was reading the president of Dillard University in New Orleans.
Mhm.
He spoke about the meeting with the president, and these are his words. He wrote a statement on Medium.com. If anyone is interested in looking up Dillard's president, Walter Kimbrough, you can check it out on Medium.com. The title is My Statement, White House HBCU event. He goes on to say, in regards to the meeting with the president, he said that I'm still processing that entire experiences. But needless to say, that through the day off, and there was little listening to HBCU presidents that day. Today, we were only given about 2 minutes each, and that was cut to 1 minute. So only about 7 of maybe 15 or so speakers were given the opportunity today. That's alarming. If you invite these people here to get the state of HBCUs, how could you not allow them to speak?
Okay,
And to
so
speak for only 2 minutes? I understand it's a lot of people, but you gotta,
yeah, yeah.
you have to have an agenda.
Yep, no. So I actually fought the HBCU's presidents with that one. That
Okay.
ain't.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Okay, that's okay.
Yeah, I fought them. Why didn't they have a designated speaker that could
Mm.
that could dictate, or not dictate, but that could express their needs to the president in an efficient manner, because you only have so much time with people of that high ilk, if you will, or of that status. They should have been
All right.
coordinated. There should have been an
Mm.
email between these guys, between all 80 presidents, saying, all right, we're voting on, this is the guy who's going to be speaking. These are the 2 or 3 people who are going to be speaking about what we want for HBCUs.
All right.
That ain't on
That's it.
Trump. If there's 80 people,
Yeah.
all 80 of y'all ain't going to speak.
You got a point.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
got a
like
point, Jamie.
that
You
ain't.
got a point.
Now we're dealing with expectations. Now that one's an unrealistic expectation to think that they're gonna sit there and listen to all 80 of you and actually care about all 80 HBCUs and what each individual institution has in terms of issues. That's unrealistic.
Yeah, okay. I can understand that then, because and then you got to throw in the fact that same day he had to give his State of the Union.
Yeah, come on now.
That's okay.
Yeah, like that's just unrealistic. Again, coordinate beforehand. Say these are the people who are going to express our our thoughts and our wishes on HBCUs, and go from there, and then have a
So
conversation about it.
I got a question for you then.
Yep.
Then now, what you saying is that, do you think they did not prepare themselves for this meeting? Then?
I mean, if you're
They
telling
didn't
me,
even speak to one another.
well, yeah, I mean, that's honestly that's what it sounds like, which is ludicrous if they didn't speak before they came into that meeting. That would just be the most asinine thing that you could possibly do, going into a meeting like that. That's just, I can't fathom them not coordinating their efforts and trying to promote HBCUs, and they didn't have a conversation beforehand. I just can't imagine that.
And, and Jamie, at the same time with that too, there has to be a community or organization where there's a spokesperson for the HBCU community.
Absolutely. Like literally
So what I mean, what's there?
every other type of organization has their what do you call it when you're those groups that like promote within the government or what have you. I forgot the name of it. Name slip my mind right now. But like every other organization, like I can't believe this. There's no way you showed up to meet with the president of the United States and saw 80 people there and said, "I'm going to have my chance to speak." Wow. I'm at a
That's the
loss
case.
for
You're going
words.
in. You going in expecting to lose.
Yeah.
Because if you're not prepared, and if all of you all are not on the same page, like you said, everybody can't speak.
No.
He has other. I mean, the members of Congress have other things to do. He's the president of the United States. He has other things to do. Whether
Yeah.
he has to tweet something out or whatever, he got other stuff to do. So like you said, there should have been an agenda,
Yeah.
and they should have had a spokesperson.
Yeah.
No matter who spoke, there should have been you should have had an agenda. This is our concern. Take it or leave it. But this is our concern.
Yeah.
We all can't talk about our individual institutions.
No.
There's one thing we all need.
Well, there's
There's
a
one
couple
thing
things.
that
Yeah.
all these things.
A
I mean,
couple of
yeah, I
things.
mean, there's a
Yeah.
couple of things. I mean, as far as like Pell grants and just funding in general, but you could all voice that just one whole body.
Yeah. I would have picked out 3 to 5 people, expertise in different aspects. So maybe one guy for funding. This is what we need. This is how much funding we need, and it's going to help us do this. Maybe pick somebody for, I don't know, campus piece, or maybe like recruiting. So hey, look, we're trying to
Mm-hmm.
grow our schools from this many, maybe 10 to 20% over the next couple of
Right.
years. And this is where we see, what happening. So we need education to, whatever in high schools to meet these type of, expectations. Maybe somebody who deals with like future when it comes to technology. Hey, right now we're here when it comes to technology or the STEM. We feel this is the bulk of the future of HBCUs. We want to, make sure we educate people in these fields so they can qualify for, the 1.4 million job opportunities in technology over the next couple of years. This is what we need help with. Like, come on, guys. This is amazing. Like, this is truly amazing. They really, this is. I'm tempted to not believe what you just told me, and that there's just something getting lost in translation here, and that they did have a
Could be.
couple of people picked out to speak. I have to believe that. I just have to.
Like I said, if anybody wants to check it out, it's on medium.com. The title is My Statement, White House HBCU Event. Walter M. Kimbrough, 7th President, Dillard University, February 27th. It's a 3-minute read.
I mean, it's meetings like this where you have to swallow your pride. Yeah, and you got to figure out who's going to be the best to express your needs.
That's
You,
the thing.
you know what I mean?
Are you truly committed to swallowing your pride? You have a moment in time to speak to the top men in the United States.
Yeah. Can you sit there and let somebody else speak for you because they're better?
Can you? Yeah. Like Morehouse. Okay. Well, I'm not gonna say it. Never mind. Go ahead.
Oh, but I mean,
Well, let me say. I will say this. Okay, you have Morehouse, and then you have, let's say, if Morris Brown was in exist, or not even Morris Brown, but a small time HBCU that no one knows about. Will you? Are you willing to say, okay, okay, I need this Morehouse, the president of Morehouse College. I need to speak about the state of my HBCU before they do because my HBCU is well known. It, it graduated Spike Lee, Martin Luther King, and this and that. But this little HBCU, what truly have they done? Can you throw their pride away?
yeah, pretty much. That's what it comes
Can you
down
do
to.
that?
Yeah, that's essentially what it comes down to. And now that I think about it more and more, I don't. And this isn't a shot at Morehouse or anything, but this just like that many
No, not at all.
HBCUs,
Not at all.
that many HBCUs, it, they probably wouldn't have wanted that. They probably honestly sat there and thought that they would all their issues would be listened to and considered,
Yeah.
which doesn't make sense because when you get 20 people in, I'm pretty sure it started getting redundant because HBCUs by and
I mean,
large
yeah, same,
have the same issues.
same thing over and over.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're graduates of HBCUs. We've talked to enough people from other HBCUs to know that HBCUs pretty much all have the same issues. Pretty much.
Exactly. I mean, even in the president, Dr. Well, Kimbrough's statement, he stated some of the things that what HBCUs what they need, and that was he talked about the Pell Grant, restoring year-long Pell Grants that enable students to finish college faster and with less debt, and remove time limits to benefit growing numbers of part-time students who may require more than 12 semesters hours to graduate. I mean, you could have just said, hey, we need more raising the Pell Grant, fixing the Pell Grant. And you could have went on and you got different opinions. But at the same time, I mean, yeah, they should have prepared themselves a little bit better. But I hope, since the White House has made this, well, as far as the HBCU initiatives will be directed under, will no longer be directly under the Department of Education. It
Yeah,
will be
let's talk about
guided by
that.
the
Yeah,
specific the
yeah, yeah.
White House.
Let's not gloss over
Maybe
that.
they'll have a
Well, let's not gloss
yeah,
over that. Yeah,
maybe they have a future meeting with the president. Maybe this is more meetings to come, where there's a general body of or committee of HBCU presidents, maybe 5 of them, that give a State of the Union every quarter. But President Trump goes about, hey, giving a specific guideline of when we expect to achieve our goals as far as helping HBCU. This is what we're going to do, and this is what we're not going to
well,
do.
so yeah,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
Let's go over that one more time. So, that's the big thing that came out of this meeting, right? Is
Mm-hmm.
that the president signed an executive order mandating that HBCUs are no longer under the Department of Education. They are all their dealings and issues will now be handled by the White House, aka Donald Trump. Now, this is good for yeah, this is good for several reasons. This can also be bad for several reasons, right? But the good
Mm-hmm.
thing is, like you just said, if Donald Trump wants to, there's a lot of things that can happen for HBCUs, and he can get it done very quickly. Like
Yeah,
literally,
definitely.
yeah, in theory, they could call. Right now, how it usually works is, if you call, let's say you're cool with the president, you call up the president and say, "Hey, I want a Pell Grant." Well, then he'd have to go to the Department of Education, the head of the Department of Education would have to go to such and such, to make to expand Pell Grants or whatever, and then it would get signed off through there. Now, and this is in theory, but it's also still practical. They could call up the president and say, "Hey, we want an expansion of Pell Grants," and he'd be like, "Okay," and it's done. So you're cutting down on uh, the bureaucracy of getting things done, and again, there's just a lot more you can do now that it's under the White House, and he's at least in symbolism, he's showing that he cares about HBCUs. Uh, the bad issue is the plus side is it's in the hands of Donald Trump. The bad news is it's in the hands of Donald Trump. Uh, as of right now, there's really no reason to believe he would do anything with this.
No.
Like, this could be great. Don't get me wrong. This could be one of the greatest things to ever happen to HBCUs in a very long time. And if Donald Trump is committed to HBCUs, he can easily completely destroy the record that Obama set in terms of funding HBCUs. But that's if he sees the long-term benefit. And the question now becomes, does Trump see any benefit with supporting HBCUs? Because yes, he could put in another 10 billion, for example, for HBCUs. He could also cut funding to HBCUs if he sees fit.
And check this out, Jamie. Here's another thing too. Okay, with Sir Michael Singleton, he wrote a post a few months prior to President Trump being elected, and he criticized. Recently, he was fired from his position within HUD. So, with that being said, with the criticism coming from HBCU president about this meeting, does that cause alarm and say, hey, you see what happened in the past? If you criticize the president and his administration, you may not get your way. You may not get this. Do you think this will hurt them? Like Dylan's president statement?
That is actually a very good question. Wow. That is probably the best question that's been asked on this podcast. Probably in all of our podcasts. Now that Trump has the power, as we know, if you criticize Trump, he will cut you off.
Yeah.
Interesting.
You cannot just go about talking about this man without expecting criticizing this man and his administration without expecting repercussions. And now you have members of the HBCU community criticizing him for this meeting. Will he be willing to have another meeting with the president or members of HBCUs? Or will he care enough because you all just say, hey, this meeting, you didn't get what you expected from this meeting. And you criticize me for doing this. Maybe he won't. Maybe this will not happen. But looking at the past, that's a possibility. That's a big possibility that this will happen.
Interesting. That is interesting. Wow.
You never know what can happen. And it sucks that you can't voice your opinion, but this is the way things are now.
Interesting.
It really sucks you can't voice your true opinion about the meeting and what he said. And I'm sure more will come out as months go on about other presidents saying how they felt about the meeting. So
maybe not.
It just sucks.
Because you just hit the head. You just hit the head on the you just hit the hammer on the or you hit the nail in the coffin or whatever. Now you can't criticize him, because if you criticize him, he has a direct access to determining how much money you get and what your funding looks like. And we know that Donald Trump does take that into consideration when he thinks about helping people.
Definitely.
That is a really interesting idea you just gave, Ray. I might write an article about that today, right after we get off this. That was very interesting. Very interesting, because I've read a couple of articles and they were all just talking about what this could be, right? And I'm not, I'm just not that guy. I can't I can't sit here and tell our listeners this is what it could be. I can only tell you this is how Donald Trump has acted in the past. This is how Donald
Correct.
Trump is acting right now. And because of that, this is most likely what you should expect. And
I was
what
never
you
saying what
just said is 100% what you can expect from the man in charge.
you. And he will not hide his feelings about what you or what he disagrees. He will not hide. He's not afraid to tell you how he feels.
That's interesting. But
So,
so there was some other stuff that happened as well. They released a statement. Essentially, I mean, it went through the basic things that you would expect. Just talks about how HBCUs have a history of educating African Americans throughout America, and how they're looking to innovate HBCUs. They're also looking to help HBCUs diversify their revenue, and whatnot, as well as funding opportunities, and funny enough, prepare students for careers in the STEM workforce, so science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So pretty basic, what you would expect from having a meeting with any educational institution. Honestly, praise its history, talk about how they need to diversify the revenue, work on innovation, and promote more students into the STEM fields. So that, I mean, that's pretty nothing new there. Pretty basic, but uh, but yet and still, here we are. HBCUs met with Donald Trump, and
well, before you answer that, real quick,
yep.
we uh can't leave without talking about the Education Secretary DeVos. Uh, her statement, the statement she made. She said
Oh,
that
you can
she
go for
said
it.
of HBCUs, they started from the fact that there were too many students in America who did not have equal access to education. They saw, meaning HBCUs, they saw that the system wasn't working, that there was an absence of opportunity. So they took it upon themselves to provide the solution. HBCUs are real pioneers when it comes to school choice. What do you think? I mean, I know she misspoke. She definitely misspoke. But how did you feel about that statement, Jim?
I mean, to be completely honest, I didn't really have an issue with it. I I
Okay.
get what she was trying
What she
to
meant,
say.
I understand.
Yeah, I get what she was trying to say. I think it was the President Morehouse who kind of nitpicked her on it, because in his defense, he felt that
A lot of
her
people did.
misunderstanding, yeah, her misunderstanding of HBCUs is troubling for the future of their relationship, because you don't understand, and HBCUs are big on history. HBCUs
Yeah,
are big on
definitely.
history.
Yeah,
So
we know that firsthand.
yeah, we already know. So if you mess that up, then they're gonna question everything that you represent.
Like, like you spitting in my face,
Yeah,
basically.
exactly. So I think that had more to do with kind of just, I mean, you know how it is. That's just more so just kind of how HBCUs are, which whatever. But she meant well. I mean, in
Yeah,
the
that's
grand
what I said. She
scheme of things,
misspoke.
yeah, in
She
the grand
misspoke.
scheme of things, that doesn't mean that they're gonna support or not support HBCUs, that speech. So you know,
She definitely misspoke. But
she did.
yeah, we have to give her the benefit of the doubt. She's trying. She's definitely trying. But
Yeah, man.
I mean, I
She's
just had to throw that out there.
Oh no. Yeah, trust me, I understand why. Yeah, man. I mean, Betsy DeVos, or Davos, however you pronounce it, which I should probably know because I'm from Michigan. But uh, I mean, in her defense, it seems as if she's trying. She didn't start off
Yeah,
on a very good first leg when she was getting uh when they were going through her history and whatnot. She didn't start off very well, but as we're moving forward, she's trying. Clearly, she's between a rock and a hard place. I don't know if you heard about the LGBT issue that happened.
no,
How
what are you saying about?
so they've taken away bathroom rights for LGBT individuals in schools. So currently the
I'm
mandate,
changing.
yeah, under the Obama administration, they basically let schools decide, if a student can go, to the boys' bathroom or the girls' bathroom, depending on their
Right.
gender identity. So Trump took that protection away. Um,
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So from everything that I've read, basically Betsy DeVos tried to stop that. She actually wanted to leave that in, but uh, basically they gave her an alternative, Trump and Jeff Sessions, that either you go with this plan or they find a new Secretary of Education. So you know
Great.
it is what it is. She had to do what she had to do. So I mean, she's, in her defense, she's trying. She's getting a lot of flack, and rightfully so, because she did mess up when she first came in. But she's trying. So we'll see how that goes with education. But for HBCUs, they're directly under Trump now, so I guess she doesn't even matter anymore, which
Right.
just sucks for her. It is what it is.
That's kind of crazy. Like, why would he put it directly under the White House?
I
If it's
honestly,
still, I mean,
I think you were onto something with the of all the college educations, who's most likely to criticize Trump?
oh yeah,
HBCUs,
you're right.
HBCUs.
Yeah,
Majority of them are private institutions that need funding.
I live with
This
a
this
lot
is
of conservative values, but
Yeah. I mean, this is business 101. I mean,
it's kind of like,
you got a group of people who
but you
need
don't hear
money.
that. You don't hear that talk. You don't hear
Yeah, I
that talk
know.
about criticism.
Well, because
Like,
honestly, because I didn't even think
why did this
about
happen?
that. I mean, I never even thought about that. Because I think, again, what you're saying, and the articles that I'm reading, everybody's talking about either it wasn't a good meeting or everybody's talking about what it could be, the positives. But nobody's
Yeah,
thinking like Trump. And Ray, you just thought like Trump.
I ain't gonna say that.
I mean, no, yeah,
It's,
that's something Trump would think though, if you think about it.
I mean, that's what a lot of people would think. Okay, I had this meeting. Let me see what are they saying about me. I'm going to look and see what they're saying about me.
Oh, I was talking about Trump using this so that if they ever try to,
Yeah, yeah,
negatively,
yeah, no, I understand what you're saying.
yeah,
Right, right, right. I understand what you're saying.
right.
But it's kind of like, I mean, a lot of people will go back and just see, hey, I had the meeting. Let me see what they said. But he will really go back and
Oh, I
check
got you.
the internet to see what you said.
Yep.
And if he don't like what you said, you're in a world of trouble.
Yeah.
And I mean, it sucks to say this, but Sir Michael Singleton, he saw the fact that he didn't criticize and call him a bad name or anything. He voiced his opinion, and look what happened to him. So who knows when it comes to actually? I have a whole set of institutions that I control now. It's not under the Department of Education. It's under the White House. So I control this one.
Oh yeah.
So what if you don't praise him? I mean, it's kind of like, it sucks to say, like, if I don't get enough sacrifices, then somebody has to go.
Oh yeah. This is gonna be. Never thought about that, but this could be interesting if you know this could get very negative very quickly. But all right, that's pretty much it from Supplierty News. A lot to think about. Hopefully, we're wrong in everything we've said the last 10 to 15 minutes, and it's
Yeah,
absolutely nothing like that. Unfortunately, Donald
definitely.
Trump's history, has currently proven us right. So, but we'll see what happens in the future. Again, like everybody else is kind of saying, this could be great under the
Yeah,
right
definitely be great.
circumstances, but we'll have to wait and see. Um, and I definitely am gonna write an article about it just to see how people think, what people think about that. But that's pretty much, again, that's it from us. Please like, subscribe, comment on the video, and as always, thank you for listening to our weekly podcast, and have a great day.
Have a good one, everybody.